Hello, welcome to my channel, A Book Forest. Today I'm going to be doing a ranking of all the Guy Gavriel Kay books. I did a project in 2025 where I wanted to read all of the books by Guy Gavriel Kay I had not yet read, which was most of them. And I really had a great year. I do have my favorites, obviously, and I have books that I did not appreciate as much. And I don't think they are the popular choices. Like I've seen a lot of booktubers talking about Kay, and they have their favorites, and some of them are not my favorites at all. So I'm going to explain a bit why. The first thing I'm going to do is say like what I really loved about Guy Gavriel Kay and what I did not love as much. So overall, he's a great author. He's a well-rounded, like he has everything. He's a great prose. He can do great characters. The plots are really interesting, and he has great themes. So he's a well-rounded author. So if any of these things are your pet peeves, like he doesn't really miss. I really like his writing. I love his characters. There's some of his characters that are in my heart forever. He made me cry. He made me like so emotional, and he made me think about a lot of things about the human condition. So that's great. But the only thing that I actually don't necessarily like about his writing is that he does pseudo-historical settings. So he takes real history and he just changes the names, and sometimes he changes the history, like he takes liberties with it because he said it's not the real world, it's kind of my own parallel world that I created. So to me that was confusing a bit, because the real history is, if you know it, you kind of see and you know what's going to happen, or you're kind of, I was always a bit destabilized. So that's what I did. It's a signature style, and it's not what I love the most about his book. I love his books in spite of it. I noticed that I lean heavily towards his early writings more than his later ones. And I also really like when he leans way more into fantasy and less into historical settings. So I would love to see, like, if his next books would be pure fantasy. That would be amazing. I don't think that's gonna happen, but one can only hope. So I have just now shuffled all the books. Like I've ranked them right now just before I started this video. I didn't want to overthink it. I went really like pure instinct, and I ended up with 3 piles. So there's one pile of the books I kind of disliked. It's very low. There's a pile of books that are I thought they were not bad, but they were average. They didn't really stick in my mind. And then I have a pile of books I absolutely adored, and it's very high. So we'll see. So the first pile, I'll start with the book I least enjoyed overall, and unfortunately it's his latest release, Written on the Dark. It's set in pseudo France, so for me the plot was way too heavy. Like he tried to cram too many historical points in his plot. Like 100 years worth of history was crammed into a shorter book than usual, and his main character was bland. There was a lot of things happening off the page, like a lot of action happening off page. I hate that. It was not, and all the relationships were kind of surface level to me. So overall I just did not enjoy my reading of this book, unfortunately. It's a pretty book too. It was really sad. I never gave any of his books less than 3 stars, so this is a 3 stars. It's decent. It's just not as good as I wanted it to be. The epilogue is the thing that most people say, like that. Oh, I love this book because of the epilogue, but to me it was not enough. Like the epilogue is kind of nostalgia bait to me. Like if you like any of his earlier works, then oh yeah, like I want to see more of that, but it's not enough to save the book for me. Then another one I kind of did not enjoy that much which is one of the darlings of Booktube. Everyone loves this thing. A Brightness Long Ago. Please don't unsubscribe because I did not enjoy this. It's not because I think it's a bad book. It's a really good book. It's just I did not connect with any of the characters. It's set in the Battiara, which is alternate Italy, and the main character is kind of retelling his life after, you know, he's older and he's nostalgic, and he's retelling like a moment in his life where everything changed for him. And I usually like that kind of thing, but I did not like the main character. I thought he was not that great of a person, and the other characters either. Like, they're all kind of awful. and usually I don't mind when they're like, what do we call gray characters. I just did not have any affection for them. Like, I did not find anything that would make me feel for their fate. So that's why I kind of was bored. I don't like the setting of Battiara. I don't know why. It's kind of always set in a Renaissance period, and it's not my favorite history time in history. And there's like the main characters from Ceresa, which is kind of Venice, and I did not like the politics of that city. I could not care less about Ceresa. I just never liked it when we were there. I don't know. It's just too politicking and not enough nice people doing nice things. Also, one thing that hindered my enjoyment is that I was kind of looking at how reading order, because this is part of a trilogy, and I was told like maybe you should read this first and then read the other books, but it was not written first. There's another book that was written before that, Children of Earth and Sky. And I think I would have enjoyed this way better if I had read Children of Earth and Sky first. So I personally would recommend reading publication order. I should always do that because that's always what I enjoy. So overall, it's like kind of almost a perfect book in a way, because the plot, it's all tight. The characters, there's some unexpected events, unexpected things that happen to the characters, but I couldn't care. I didn't care. So that's why it's one of my least favorite. But it's still, you know, I gave it 3 stars. A lot of people love this, so don't take all my opinion for it. It's just my personal ranking. Then I read, I also, like, my next book is The Last Light of the Sun. So this one is good, it's just forgettable. I forgot about the plot as soon as I finished the book. So it's set in alternate England during the reign of King Alfred, you know, when they're Vikings and everything. So we have a character that's a Viking from the north, and he's a kind of an indentured servant after his father did some terrible things, and he doesn't want that life, so he escapes his island and he becomes a mercenary in a Viking town. And there's also a young protagonist, male protagonist in Wales, in kind of alternate Wales, and there's kind of a little bit of magic going on, which was my favorite part of the book, like the Welsh stuff. Not Welsh, but it's kind of yeah, I'm gonna say that it's an alternate history, so it's another name for the country, but it's definitely Wales. I like that part of it because of the little fairy elements. And then there's other young protagonists in kind of the England, Wessex. So too many young guys. They were all mixed up. They all mixed up together. So that's what kind of dimmed a bit my enjoyment of the book. But overall, it was still good. It's just not his best. It's kind of forgettable. But I still have 2 copies. I don't know why. I'm crazy. So I really, yeah, this is middle of the road for me, but it's another 3 star, I would say. Then we get to the 4 stars. So this is also part of the trilogy set in Battiara and the, like the Brightness Not Long Ago. It's following the events of A Brightness Long Ago. It's called All the Seas of the World, but it's set in the Mediterranean, so that you go to the north of the Africa, and it's set also like in Batiara and France. Well, it's not France, but anyway, that as I said, I always have a hard time remembering the names of the countries because they're all really similar to the real ones. Yeah, so the characters in this is why I like this book. It's a bit messy. The plot is not as tight as other books. He has a lot of events going on, a lot of things happening. But the main two characters are kind of mercenaries, merchants on a ship, and I enjoyed them very much. There's one lady who's she was kidnapped when she was young, and by Asherites. The Asherites are kind of the corsairs, the Muslim corsairs of that time, which is Renaissance, you know. And she was a slave, and then she kind of escaped, and now she's a merchant with another man who is her associate. And they have a great friendship, and they do a lot of shady stuff together, but you kind of understand why they're doing it. So they do it like, you know, they're mercenaries, they do things for money. But I actually liked those characters, which was why I enjoyed it more. So overall, it's difficult to talk about the plot of this book because it's really, there's a lot. It's all over the place. But yeah, overall, I enjoyed it. So I gave it 4 stars because it gave me emotions. And the ending was great. Then one of the books that is least liked by most people I see online is Isabelle. So this is more of a modern setting with a lot of fantasy, so that's why I liked it. I really do prefer when he has more fantasy and less pseudo-history. So this is not to be read before Fille Navarre Tapestry, which is his trilogy. One of his first books that he wrote is the Fille Navarre Tapestry. This is kind of a loose sequel. So if you enjoyed the Fille Navarre Tapestry, I would recommend reading Isabelle. It's definitely not the same. It's set in France, in Provence, in a real one. And I really like it's the main characters are 2 teenagers, which is different. Usually we have adults. And it's just a bit of fantasy. Like there's a lot of things going on that are not normal. And it's a love story of the ages, love triangle of the ages, and absolutely I enjoyed this. I gave this 4 stars, and it was sweet. I think it's a love story from Kay to France, to Provence. I think he loved that area, and he describes it really well, and made me actually want to go back. Because I've been before, but it actually made me want to go back traveling there. So, really wonderful. So we're getting to the really good stuff now. Then Tigana. Tigana, I was kind of mixed when I read it because there's some events in this book that were kind of disturbing. It's the second book he ever wrote. Like the first is the Fille Navarre Tapestry, and then he wrote Tigana. And Tigana is set in a different world. It's not set in the Sarantine world that I've been explaining, like a pseudo alternate history world. It still kind of is reminiscent of Italy. But I thought it was done better. To me, the world was more fresh. The characters, I kind of felt for them. What happens here is there's this city of Tigana, and there's a war with the sorcerer, and the sorcerer does something that makes everyone forget about said city, Tigana. So the only people who remember it are the ones from there, who were born there, and it's torturing them. Like, it's terrible. And it's just the journey of these people to reclaim their identity. There are some scenes that I thought were horrible, not necessary, but you do have a lot of the exploration of what war does, of what after the war does to people, how they go on, how they relate to the world. There's some great characters as well. I loved one of the main protagonists, Dianora. Dianora is like one of the best female characters he's ever written, and I absolutely loved her journey. Heartbreaking, but very complex. So I absolutely loved her. And the other characters I liked. I just think he was a bit... It's a slow burn, like it's not much going on, and what goes on sometimes makes no sense. There's some scenes, some characters that come up and you're like, why is that person, like why do you need that character? Like it's just random. And some of the love stories I did not really get, except for one couple. I just did not understand the rest. But overall, the more I've been sitting, because I've read that at the beginning of 2025, and the more I sit with it, the more it leaves. It left an impression, and it left like an imprint on me. So yeah, it's a special book, definitely. So I give this 4 stars as well. Another 4 stars is Children of Earth and Sky, which is the first book in the trilogy that I was talking about, that I should have read first. I preferred the setting in this one because it's not set in Batiara, it's set in another place. It's called, it's kind of Dubrovnik, you know, so a bit more in the Balkans. You talk about more, and it's all this trilogy is set around the, like you have Sarantium, which is the main city of the emperors of that time, like Constantinople, and it's set around the fall of before, after, during and after the fall of Constantinople. And this is set, this has characters that were very much impacted by all the goings on with this fall, and there's like a great female character in there. She's kind of she lives in a corsair city, like there's a bunch of people living in a city and they're just pirates essentially, but they are pirates and they fight for their religion and for their land and their children. And I really enjoyed this, and there's some fight scenes in there, like they travel all over the Balkans and towards Asharias now, which was Sarantium, and there's also like Macedonian vibes. And it was just wonderful. Like you have some tough characters in there. You have an artist going to paint the caliph essentially of Asharias, which is something that really happened, obviously. It's always a little bit based on reality, but I just enjoy those characters so much. And there's some great scenes, and there's also like one character who was abducted as a child from the Jadites, who are like the Christians, and he's now a Janissary. You know, the Janissaries were mostly Christians, and he grows up like being kind of brainwashed, and he has allegiance to the Asharites now, and he fights for them, but his people are actually other people. Like it's different allegiances, and he's struggling with that. I love this so much. So yeah, that was my another 4 stars, but I should have read this first. I regret it now. Eventually, if I do a reread, I will absolutely start with this one. Okay, then we're getting to the great stuff. So most of these after that I've done separate reviews, so I'll link that down below. You have the Sarantine Mosaic. So you have Sailing to Sarantium, which is the first book, and then Lord of Emperors. I preferred Sailing to Sarantium. A lot of people prefer this one because there's a lot of action. It's very, very action-packed, and there's loads of things that happen that are completely unexpected. But I like this one. It's kind of a setup book, but in hindsight, I really remember the events of this one much more than this one. But overall, it's a great duology. It's not perfect, so I gave it's 4 stars for me. A high 4 stars. There's only a few nitpicks, really. There's characters that are set up in this book that I really enjoyed, like is a trio of characters that are traveling together. They meet each other and they travel together. And two of those characters were kind of sidelined in this book, and I wanted more from them. And he gave us new characters in this one, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed those better. So I wanted to know for them to have a bigger, imprint on the story. I also thought that the female characters were a bit similar. They kind of all felt like the same person with different attitudes. Not even. Like, they were all kind of the same woman, but 3 ways. The only interesting woman was in Serentium, and he sidelined her, so... There are, like, the characters were, to me, like, the male characters were better in those books. I loved, like, the Crispin, he's a mosaicist, and he goes to Serentium to adorn the dome of the church that they're building there, kind of a Hagia Sophia, and it's what he's telling us about the art. The artist's journey in those books is amazing, and also what can happen to your art, and is it eternal or not? Is it worth it if it's not? Very interesting conversation there. So overall, it's a great duology. I would not pick those as my first Guy Gavriel Kay books. At the end, I might tell you like some good starting points, but those would be for if you really enjoyed the books you've read before by Kay, then yeah, jump into this. Also, I would not go in as a fantasy beginner. They're kind of a bit harder to read. They're heavier. The writing style is a bit more, I don't know, worthy. It's worth it. It's beautiful, but it's harder to read. It's not like crackers. It's more like caviar. But yeah, it's wonderful. And also, like, it's called a Sarantine world. Like, all those alternate history books are set in this kind. It's called a Sarantine world because this world, like this city of Serentium in those books, has so much impact. Like, the description of everything, it's so well done. I could feel this city. I could feel myself living there. It was really well done. And also, we start in Batiara, but more in the Middle Ages, and then we move through the more like the forests, and then after that Serentium, and all this travel is amazing, very impactful to me. So then I read another duology. So Under Heaven and River of Stars, which is set in kind of alternate China, Kitai, during not the height of empires like Serentium, but the fall of empires. And these two are set a few hundred years apart. I enjoyed River of Stars, which is the second book, better than Under Heaven, which also is not usually the popular opinion. Most people enjoyed this better than this, but I like the characters in this one better. And I thought it was the same discussion on the same subject, but in 2 different ways. I think he got inspiration for this from Outlaws of the Marshes, the Chinese stories. And Under Heaven is more like the height of empire, and this is more like the pale copy of it, but it's both at the end of 2 dynasties. And the main characters are great. I liked the ones in this. They seem more vivid to me. The main character in this one is a bit more passive, lets things happen to him more. They have a bit more agency, I thought. And there's a great female characters in this one. Lin Shan, I liked her very much. Almost as much as Dianora, and another character I'll talk about. So overall, yeah, just watch the reviews I did for those books, because I did Sarantine Mosaic and this duology as well. Then we're getting to the great stuff. So these 2 I gave 5 stars. I also gave 5 stars to this, A Song for Arbonne. it was my second read. It's set in different. It's a separate world as well, like Tigana. It's not in the same Sarantine world, but it's reminiscent of France, the troubadours, poets, wine, song, good food, the amour courtois, the love. And then it's like the two different, like the northern people are more a bit like warlike, a bit more aggressive. They are less refined. And then you have the southern ones who are more like living the nice life under the sun. And it's kind of the contrast between those two. And you have Blaise, which is the main character. He's a mercenary for Arbonne, but he comes from Goro, which is in the north. So he's kind of the stranger. We see everything through his eyes, and he starts with like, what are they doing? Are they stupid or something? And he kind of grows to love them. So it's the exploration of that world, and I just really enjoyed the main character, Blaise, and also he has a lady troubadour traveling with him. She's great. And there's like a lot of drama going on, which I appreciated, and there's some really shady, dark, bad guys in there. Lovely. I'm not gonna... This is the only one I did not do a separate review of my favorites, the 5-star ones, so I will eventually, hopefully, do a review of this one, because that would complete my favorite books of Kay reviews. But I don't know why I did not do a review of this one. Maybe it's just because I had reread it. I don't know. I'll try to do that. Then my second favorite. So the top two are like almost equal in my eyes. This was my favorite read of 2024. So I read at the end of the 2024, I read the Fille Navarre Tapestry, which is the first books that are published by Kay when he was younger, when he was in his 20s. And he had just finished, I think, working on the Silmarillion with Christopher Tolkien. A great job. And it's more fantasy. It's definitely fantasy. And I loved it. I think there's a lot of, it's debut. So you see the debut author in there, but even for a debut, it's amazing. I think he's a greatly talented person. It's a portal fantasy, like it starts in our own world in Toronto, Canada, and it's a bunch of students that meet a kind of a sorcerer and a king of the dwarves, and they tell him like, you need to come to Fille Navarre because you need to save our world. So we're gonna bring you over to our world in a different dimension, and everyone's like, oh shit, cool, okay. They all accept it face value, which is, it's fine. So they get to Fille Navarre, and it's great. It's a great world. It's full of magic, gods, fairy tales, Arthurian inspiration. Amazing. There's some scenes that last for a few pages only, and it made me cry. It's so impactful. Like he was able to make me feel for characters I only saw in a few pages and then never again, and I still think about those. So it's really amazing. And there's like, definitely it's a trilogy. I count it as one book because I cheat. I read it in this bind-up, so I was like, it's my favorite book of 2024, but it's technically 3 books. And I did buy the trilogy after that because I loved it so much. I wanted another version, and I bought the version with the original covers. So those are the original. They're not the original paperbacks, but they have the original art on them. Aren't they sweet? I love them. And you have The Darkest Road, which is the last one. Oh, I love those. And you see these scenes, and you're like, oh, exactly. I know exactly what happened there. And it's definitely, you have inspiration of the Silmarillion that he had been working on. I can see heavy inspirations of that, especially in the first book, The Summer Tree. But there's also like all the sagas and the Arthurian legend, and also his own spin on things. Celtic mythology, it's great. Even Northern mythology. And he has this world, Fiannavar, is kind of the linchpin that all his other worlds are linked to. Like, what it tells you really is that all his other worlds kind of have a link to Fiannavar. So this is the original world, and all the other worlds, including our own, depend on it. So it's like the gods and legends and magic come from there. So yeah, I loved this trilogy. That's why I wish Kay would write more fantasy, because he's so good at it. For me, absolutely wonderful. So yeah, I have a dedicated review of this, so I'll link that down below. So it was my second favorite, and then my favorite was my book of the year in 2025 this year, The Lions of Al-Rassan, because it made me cry so hard. It made me love those characters. I wanted to be part of the group. It's kind of a found family theme and a theme of war, and what people on different sides that love each other, what they go through. Oh, my God, it was so good. It was one of his first, like it's his fourth book, I think, right after A Song for Arbonne. So definitely I lean heavily. My favorite books are his earlier works. I don't know if it's because it had more I think he took more liberties with the events, with the characters. It was less strictly history to me, and it was more a bit fantasy, a bit more like he was playing a bit more with the world. So it's more vivid, and I'll link the review below. Like, you can watch my review, but it made me feel so bad and so good. And there's a great Jahane was another great female character, my third female character that I love from him, and it has great friendships. Like, there's also love stories, but I think the friendships are what really touched me. And it's not just friendships between two people; it's friendships between a group of people, all with each other. They all have different relationships with each other, and they bring to each other different things. They have different experiences. They're from different places, different religions, different professions, but they all have, like, they're kindred spirits. They all have the same heart, really. They just want to be together and to have a good life and to enjoy other people and other cultures, and that's not what that's not what the powers of the world want. But the main characters, that's their core, and it's what happens to them and what really brings them together and what sets them apart. Yeah, like what an achievement, what a masterpiece for me. So lastly, like, no, it's a long video, I'm gonna say what I think are the best entry points for his works. So for Guy Gavriel Kay, I think The Lions of Al-Rassan is an excellent entry point. It's set in alternate Spain and also Andalusia with the Reconquista. So that's an excellent entry point. It gives you everything that Kay is really good at, and it gives you his signature style as well. So if you don't like Al-Rassan, I don't know if you're gonna like Guy Gavriel Kay, but if you don't like this, then go read Fiannavar. Maybe you'll like it better if you prefer fantasy. Then A Song for Arbonne is another great entry point. This is set in the Sarantine world, but this is set in a completely separate world, so it's kind of a standalone. Also a great entry point for the same reasons. Then I would say Under Heaven. Under Heaven can be read as a standalone. It's a part of a duology, but you don't need to read both books. It's kind of a perfect book. Like, it has great plots, great characters, great setting. Yeah, I would definitely, it's Asian inspired, so it's a bit different. The flavor is a bit different. And it's more set, like it's more focused on the overall empire and less on the singular events. So this one is more like political. This one I would say is more character focused. And this one is definitely more political as well. It's overarching, it's yeah. So I would say if you liked like a lot of politics, a lot of culture, a lot of different chess pieces over the board, you can do no wrong with Under Heaven. And then I think those are my favorite starting points. I would say like a lot of people start with Tigana. I would not personally start there, just because it has, to me, it's less of a perfection, you know. It has more rough parts and less, yeah, it's less action. To me, it's more journey over the destination is, the ending is a bit rushed, and I thought there was a lot of things that kind of made me cringe a bit, but overall it's a great book. Like, it's just not the best, to me it's not the best starting point, but it's one of the, yeah, you could start it. And then Fien Lavar, like if you want fantasy and you want to see like this first book, then read Fien Lavar. It's easy to read and it's lovely. So those I think would be my favorite, my best starting points for Guy Gavriel Kay. So overall, I love him, and even though I have critiques, I still think he's amazing. So I hope he writes more, and please, if you're hearing this, write more fantasy. So let me know if you've read any of those. I know, A Brightness Long Ago is most people's favorite, so I don't know why it didn't connect with me, but I'm sorry. Overall, he's great. So let me know what you, which ones are your favorites, and if you disagree with me, tell me why. See you next time.